6'5", elite ball skills, serious red zone threat, and maybe the next Mike Evans next on the Going for Two scouting report. What's up, and welcome to the Going for Two scouting report. I, of course, am Jeff. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. You can find us on TikTok at goingfor2.com. What's up, Ryan?
Oh, not much, man. Right, got some rookies.
Absolutely, man. It's that time of year. Absolutely. I'm excited. I know you've been doing some scouting. I've been doing some scouting. But we're going to talk tonight about probably everybody's consensus number one wide receiver. Of course, we're talking about Mr. Tet McMillan, uh, 6'5", 212 pounds, receiver from Arizona. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it, man. What did you see when you watched him?
And I saw what you imagine the prototypical wide receiver will. He's graded higher than any receiver I had last year. I think he's elite when it comes to winning above the rim. He can win on multiple levels, though. He doesn't just win jump balls. He runs good routes across the middle. He creates separation not only at the catch point, which is a big concern when it comes to these bigger receivers. And we've seen a lot of misses lately, but he's able to create separation and win off routes. I think he wins at all three levels of the field. One of the things he does really well is he attacks the ball and he works back to the ball. So shorter balls, he comes back, he gets it with his hands. He displays strong hands. I think he plays very physical for being as light as he is. I think he's the complete package of the position.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Like one thing I wrote down, you said it a few times there, he's got elite level hands and he's a
Dude,
hands.
his hands are absurd.
Yeah, some of the catches he made, like there was just no way that he was coming down with that ball, and he did it every single time. It was a sight to behold. He's 6'5", and we don't see a ton of 6'5" guys that have success at the NFL level. But I think he is definitely one of them that that I've watched. That I think can be a good 6'5" receiver in the NFL. I've heard some complaints about his separation, being able to get separation. I personally didn't see it on film, but I have heard other scouts say that. What are your thoughts about his separation and his route running ability?
Honestly, I believe the separation thing is really overblown because he was able to win on slant routes. His crossing routes across the middle, he had space. On comeback routes, he was pretty good at stop and go, and he was able to run well with the ball once he got it. It's very overblown. We've seen a lot of big wide receivers be slower and only win over the top while he's absurd winning like that. He doesn't have to do it all the time. Maybe on vertical fly routes and nine routes. That's really about it. But he's fast enough where he still creates some separation outside of just going over top person.
Yeah, one thing that surprised me too, being 6'5", is his yards after catch ability. We saw some like you said, some little short screenplays. We took it to the house, and you don't see that much from a 6'5" guy where they able to make guys miss in open space. What did you think about that?
I think it was a lot more wiggle than you see with that. I see a lot of big guys. Like even if you look back at when we saw like Nikhil Harris, who people thought was gonna be elite, who's big, they were thick. They just kind of ran through people, and because they're big on the college course, he doesn't weigh that much. He was able to make guys miss and kind of get himself sideways to find holes. It's a lot different than I think a lot of people view the tall wide receivers. He plays large, but with the ball in his hands and some of his route running, I think he plays like a smaller receiver in those areas.
Yeah, agreed. Let's go to the negative side of things. What did you see that you didn't like about him?
Honestly, there wasn't a lot I disliked. I thought we could have seen maybe some other, like a little more comeback routes and some more volume, but he's pretty damn complete. He's one of the few players I had barely any complaints. Like you expect some guys who maybe didn't catch with their hands, which he did. And like I said, the separation was the biggest thing, which he did well enough. He's a damn good wide receiver. I think he has wide receiver one potential. I don't see anything other than maybe some ticky tack things where he's not like a Justin Jefferson, but with his skill set, he doesn't need him, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like there's some things that could be crisped up when it comes to route running, but for what he brings talent wise, I don't think it's that big of an issue. I'd say maybe just kind of crisp it up a little bit, but the wide receiver.
yeah, I agree. The only thing I wrote down as a negative is that at one of the games that I watched, and I can't remember the team that he played against. It was a very physical corner. They played a lot of press man, and he is physical, but he was able to be. They were able to reroute him consistently off the line of scrimmage,
He's thin. Like at
Yeah,
6'5", like 212 is not big.
right, exactly. So yeah, they were able to move him around a little bit. So obviously, he gets to the NFL, he can bulk up a little bit. That's something that can be in strength training, something that can be taught as well. So nothing that I'm really concerned about at the next level.
There's not a lot of corners who are that physical though. Like maybe once you get to the Jalen Ramsey types and Pat Surtains,
Very
the
true.
majority of corners aren't that physical or it's gonna be that big of an issue.
Let's talk team fit, and it doesn't have to be necessarily an actual team, but is there a scheme fit, or is there an actual team you think that he fits best with?
Honestly, I think he's one of the most versatile players, and he's gonna force volume to him. I'd like to see him with a quarterback who can stretch the ball out and throw downfield more, but he's a wide receiver one for any team he goes to.
Agreed. Yeah,
Like, it's super boring to say, but, anywhere.
I
High
think
as you
that
draft him, he's gonna be good.
the name that I or the team that I saw a lot of, obviously, is the Patriots. I think they have the fourth overall pick. People thinking that he might be that high of a pick. Patriots could definitely use wide receiver help. They got Drake May, who looked pretty good last year. What do you think about the Patriots fit?
I love that for Drake May because Drake May throws the deep ball well. He throws some velocity. I think it'd be perfect for the quarterback for him. I don't know if they have enough volume with their style of football, but like I said before, he fits it. Raiders, I don't love the top of the draft. Man, there's just nowhere I really hate him going. I don't want to see him go to a bad quarterback and a bad team who can't pass.
Right.
And, like, for fantasy football wise, it's I wanna see him do a place where they're gonna throw the ball. I don't want him in a run heavy team, but I think he succeeds anyway.
Now, there's one team. If I was a GM and just kind of looking at all the teams, I don't think he falls this low in the draft, and you probably have to be a trade up situation. But the Dolphins, they just don't have any size at wide receiver, which is why I think their tight end Johnny Smith led them in touchdowns last year because he's the only one that had size. I don't know how he would fit in that offense necessarily, but the Dolphins with that kind of
Tough
stuff,
volume.
yeah, he wouldn't
Like,
get the
he needs to be the wide receiver one. I don't hate him I honestly don't even hate him like Carolina at 8, being they don't have real playmakers for Bryce Young, and he would force volume.
true.
It's a good fit anywhere with a team who can throw.
Good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and do some player comps here. I mentioned one at the top that I like. Mike Evans. It's sort of a lazy comp because Mike Evans is one of those few guys that were successful at 6'5". So he was kind of my main comp, and I've seen that comp in other places. Where did you think for a comp for Tet McMillan?
Um, I'm not right there with Mike Evans because Mike Evans is thick. Honestly, I'm kind of on the Nico Collins. I think he's very similar to Nico Collins, but like souped up a little bit. I think he's a little bit more athletic. Even though Nico Collins ran well and moved well, but the way he can work the middle of the field and be versatile and has really good speed for that size, I see him as a very similar player to that.
Yeah, that's a good call. I never even thought about Nico, and I love Nico. So that's a pretty good comp there as
Like
well.
Nico's 6'4", 215, ran a 4.45, huge vertical 37. I think Tet is around that same speed. I think he may jump higher. Like it's very similar in the measurables. I think he's very similar in what he can do well and how he moves.
All right, that wraps up our Tet McMillan scouting reports. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and TikTok and wherever you're watching that. And we'll see you next time.